a simulation. It's not me. Whoever is in charge of me is screwing up today.
It's always someone else's fault. Hi.
Mm-hmm.
Sven,
this is Two Girls, One Ghost.
Two girls, one ghost. And we are your ghostesses. That is Corinne.
Hello.
And I'm Sabrina. And this is an Encounters episode. And it's an extra special Encounters episode because we're going to get to reading your stories. But before we do that, we have the OG paranormal podcaster, Jim Harold, of Jim Harold's Campfire Stories.
Of Jim Harold's everything. He has so many different podcasts. And I mean, Jim was podcasting before probably everyone here even knew what a podcast was. Like,
he is the OG. I mean,
OG.
He's like the Art Bell of podcasting.
He is. So we were so excited. We got to sit down with him. We shared a couple stories that he is posting on his podcast, Jim Harold's Campfire Stories. And we collected a ghost story from him, which we're going to play as the first encounter in this episode.
Yes. So without further ado, Jim Harold. Woo, woo.
Jim, we're happy to have you. And we're obsessed with your background.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Corinne, Sabrina, thank you for joining me asking me to be on your show and vice versa and all that stuff. You know what I mean? But thank you. It's good to be here and just love meeting other podcasters on the paranormal and the supernatural and just talking spooky stuff.
Yeah. Paranormal pals.
Paranormal pals.
Exactly.
I do have to ask you, is that an alien mask or is it a statue behind you?
Actually, one of my listeners, a gentleman from you can follow him on Instagram, Infinity Masks. He made the Frankenstein mask behind me and the alien mask. He's over in the UK. He is so good. I mean, it's like
That's talent.
movie level stuff. Yeah, a lot of talent.
Wow.
So those guys, I like having them on set. That I don't feel so alone.
We did tell you episodes with them on.
We did tell you this when we first met before recording that we aspire to have a background just like yours one day. Mm-hmm. It is so cool.
Well, other than the masks, just go buy a bunch of junk. And, there you'll have it. But no, I like because I tell people it's not a green screen. It's not a green screen. And they said, no, we didn't think it was a green screen because who would come up with such a silly background? But anyway, and I switch it up from time to time. My problem is I've got too much stuff.
It's so cool.
So I rotate stuff in and out and stuff. And it's a lot of fun.
Oh, we love it. So you said that you had a few experiences with the paranormal as well.
Yeah, but you know, the thing is that my experiences with the paranormal are more reaffirming and they're kind of subtle. Mm-hmm. You know, I've never seen like Corinne, we were talking on your show or my show, and Sabrina, we were talking as well about your experience with the orbs, the evil orb and the good orb, and Corinne, you with the 4-foot demon. I've never had anything like that. Either it's been positive or it's like, I think, saved me from something.
Oh, wait, but those are the best experiences. People always want a paranormal experience and to have those signs and to have the divine intervention. Like, that's just as incredible.
Well, one of my favorite stories, and it's not scary, so I'm sorry, everybody, you're going to want to hear scary. But one of them was I was on a paranormal cruise about, 6 years ago. Doing another one this spring, which is kind of fun.
A paranormal cruise?
Yeah. Like speakers and stuff and all that stuff. I was a speaker on it. And anyway, what happened is I was going to speak that day and I had a cold. You know, my luck, I got just go on this cruise and I have a cold. Mm-hmm. So I went to the cafe in the boat to get some coffee. And I was coming back and I had to walk through the casino on the boat because they put it right next to the conference room. So you have to walk through it.
Yep.
And there was this one guy who was attending in our group, not a speaker, but one of the attendees, who was playing like this crane game. It was a crane, like a claw that came down and grabbed money. And I had a big thought of my late uncle, who was like a second dad to me and very, very close to me. And he had passed a few years earlier. And because my uncle used to love to go when he went to like a big box store or something, he'd love to play that thing with the stuffed toys and the crane, you know, where the crane goes down. He'd like spend $10 on it and just, you know, and he didn't care about, he wanted to beat the machine. So he didn't care about having the toy, just give it to some kid or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, point being, I'm like, oh gosh, I wish he were here because he loved playing that stupid crane game. Not only that, he was kind of person, casual gambler, not anything serious, but he liked to buy the lotto tickets or do a scratch off or play the football pool or whatever it was. Nothing big, but, you know, little stuff. And I'm like, this would be great. It's gambling and it's the crane game. It would be so nice if he were here. No sooner I had that thought, this woman walks over by the machine. She cups her hand to her mouth and says, John, name of my uncle.
Oh,
Name of my uncle.
Chills.
So,
Yeah, I just got it again when I told it. And, you know, and then somebody walked over, I guess it was her husband or significant other or whatever, walked over and they were back together. But what are the chances? I was walking through this thing. I see this guy playing this game. I think of my uncle, and then somebody comes up to the machine and like yells out his name.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I know the skeptics are going to say, that's a bunch of BS. That's just, you know, whatever. But I got to tell you, it struck a chord with me.
Yeah.
So to me, and we try to do this on the Campfire show. I mean, there are plenty of scary stories. There are plenty of scary stories. But there's also a lot of ones that are reaffirming, whether it's a communication from a loved one or maybe somebody is saved from some tragedy by something that happened. And there's scary ones too. We have our demons too. So we try to cover a wide kind of swath of it.
Yeah, definitely. And I also feel like with your story, we say this a lot on our show. There's no such thing as coincidences. Like that is too many coincidences for it to be a coincidence.
Too much.
Yeah.
I think it was Yogi, the famous baseball player, like even before I was born, if you can believe that, Yogi Berra, who said it's too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence. And I think that that's what you're dealing with here. It's just like, come on, that wasn't a coincidence.
Totally.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I think that's what your loved ones hope that you'll recognize too, right?
Yeah.
Like to give you those signs in a way that you'll be receptive to them and not spooked.
Bingo. I think that they find things, you know, to somebody else that would have meant nothing.
Yeah.
But to me specifically, it meant something because of the significance of this silly claw machine. I mean, it could have been anything, but it was something that was very much him. In fact, one Christmas, I got him a little toy one. So it was like really, it was really
cute.
like a thing. It was really a thing for him.
It was the symbol of his life, of his presence.
Yeah.
The claw machine.
Kind of a weird thing, but it is
So,
what it is.
yeah. Very nice.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing. And to experience it on a spooky cruise.
Yeah.
Which I feel like
that's true too.
Which I feel like, Corinne, you and I need to look into paranormal cruises. That sounds so cool.
I know.
There
Jim,
you
next
go.
time
It
you
was
speak
cool.
on one, let us know. Well, we might
I
be
will.
buying tickets.
I will.
Yeah.
There you go. Excellent.
Well, do you want to tell
So-
everyone where to find Campfire?
Yeah, absolutely. If you like real people explaining their stories, telling their stories, and there's some scary ones too, it's Jim Harold's Campfire. Jim Harold's Campfire. You can find it on all the podcatchers and everything out there. Been doing this show since 2009. And that wasn't even my first paranormal podcast. I started back in 1905 almost. It feels like it. 2005.
Time traveler, vampire.
The paranormal
What are you?
podcast. Yeah. Well, I'm old enough to be one. But 2005 was the paranormal podcast, and keep doing that show. They can check that out too. But Jim Harold's Campfire is the one I think your listeners will love the most. If they like to hear real people telling their real stories, we do about 90 minutes of that every week.
Amazing.
It's at jimharold.com and also on all your podcatchers, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, Stitcher, pretty much all of those guys.
Amazing.
So great. Yay.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And everyone go check out Jim Harold Campfire.
Okay. I have a few that I picked out because I feel like we've been talking a lot about dreams, but not giving enough attention to the emails that we get about dreams.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's a little bit of a dream-themed encounters episode for me.
dream theme. I like
dream
that.
theme. Yes. Okay, this is from Zanga, and it's called, so I can tell the future?
Oh, cool.
I know. I'm a very new listener to your podcast, but I really love having a one-stop shop for all spooky stories. This story isn't scary or creepy so much as it's eerie and very coincidental. My mom has always said I am, quote, a bit witchy. I have frequent deja vu and dreams that come true. A few months ago, I had a dream that I was driving my family's car and the brakes weren't working. I was panicked and I was trying to think through what I should do. So I decided that I should put the car into park just so I can stop the car. I reach towards the gear shift and I'm immediately woken up by a loud knock at my door. I bolt upright and I run to the top of the stairs that overlook the front door. My mom has got there first and has opened up the door to a police officer. He tells her that someone has hit our car and called the police. So my mom goes to sort this all out, and luckily there weren't any major damages to either vehicle. I live on a dead-end street and there's only one way to get in. There's one alley that runs through it. Apparently, while dispatchers were arriving, one of the police cars were driving down the wrong direction of this one-way street and was hit by a second police car. Now, this is weird, but later in the day, I learned that exact night, my dad had a dream that he was running alongside a car that I was driving. In his dream, the brakes weren't working, and he was telling me to put the car in park. I'm not sure if it's a giant coincidence or not, but my dad has also had some really weird predictive dreams. I've also found a few pictures of someone who looks exactly like him in places that he's never been or ever seen since he's been alive.
What?
I'm not sure if that counts for anything, but I thought it was a bit strange. Another weird dream car situation. This past weekend, I had a dream about an acquaintance of mine that no longer goes to school with me, and we'll call them Robin. I don't remember much from the dream, but we were painting their bedroom, and then we drove around for a while. Typically, when people appear in my dreams that I don't normally see in my dreams, this means that something terrible is about to or has recently happened in their lives.
Oh, no.
I have a friend at school who knows Robin, and so the other day I asked if they were all right, and she explained, and then I explained the dream situation. My other friend told me that Robin recently got into a car accident and is okay, but obviously a bit traumatized. Story 2, I was a camp counselor this summer, and my last night at camp, my cabin mate had a very strange experience. She told me that she woke up in the middle of the night and looked at the clock and it was 3 a.m.
Of course.
She woke up to a giggling sound right by her ear. There was no one there. Then she heard whatever it was walk around the cabin several times before heading to sit on the bunk right by her head.
No.
Then she heard scribbling for the rest of the night, like someone was writing very excitedly. Needless to say, she did not go back to sleep. She was in the bunk bed beneath me, and so I'm so glad I didn't experience anything. See you on the other side, Zanga.
Zega, I don't even know where to start. Okay, it seems like Zega is not only connected to like some premonition world, but also to cars specifically.
Cars? Yes.
And I'm glad that the first experience, it wasn't a premonition that Zega was going to be driving and that happened to Zega. Like, I'm glad it was just a version of understanding that there was going to be their car was going to hit.
Well, it's really interesting too because Zanga's dad had the same dream but from a different perspective. Like Zanga was in the car, car's not stopping, has to put the car in park to stop the car. Like brakes aren't working. And then Zanga's dad has the dream of him being outside of the car. The car's not stopping, the brakes aren't working, instructs Zanga to put the car in park.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, clearly they are connected in some way. And I also need to see these photos of Zanga's dad or his doppelganger.
Oh, I know. That's so creepy. And it's also weird because it's like these dreams, obviously dreams have meaning and dreams can be predictive and sort of like.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to me that Zanga and her dad having like basically a known doppelganger around had the same dream that wasn't exactly what had happened in that moment. So it's weird that there was like either dream meaning that they had to dissect that was the same dream, but like not an actual example of what truly happened. Or is this a predictive dream that they don't realize is actually going to happen in the future?
I really hope not. Don't put that out there.
Or maybe it's happening to Zenga's, to their dad's
I like
doppel.
you're trying to walk it back.
I'm trying to walk it back. I'm gonna put it all on the doppelganger. Maybe it's happening to the doppelganger of their dad.
Okay. Or it truly is just the connection, because the coincidence or the coincidental nature of them both having that dream that night and then waking up to their car getting hit, like that to me is too coincidental that it can't be a coincidence. So I hope that that's all it was. And then I'm glad Robin's okay and that they were not, I mean, car accidents are terrifying, but that they were okay afterwards. And then what the heck was scribbling and giggling?
Angry journaling. Just shh. That's what happened at camp tonight. Gossip. Which could that be? I mean, the giggling and the scribbling, like the journaling, drawing, or whatever it is, like could that be a residual haunting that's just at the camp?
Sure. Yeah, that's possible. I prefer that over an entity.
Yeah. I mean, it's totally scary. And for it to sit down and to feel the pressure, the weight of the spirit, that's what's scary about the residual hauntings too. It's like, it's one thing to see and to hear it, but to feel the actual like pressure of the space around you being changed and manipulated. Ugh. That is what freaks me out a bit.
Like that. You know what we should do?
What?
We should ask people to send us audio recordings of them doing the creepiest laugh that they can do and compile them together.
We should. Wait, Sabrina, let's do that for. Yes, I was thinking October, but I don't know if I can wait till October. But we should have like a special like the giggly episode where we cover some creepy like circus clown stories. And then we just have like a laugh track of everybody's creepiest laughs in the background.
Okay, start sending us your creepiest laughs and title it Creepy Laughs. And
title it Creepy Laughs and actually do this. Please, because if we get a bunch of laughs, we'll be able to actually make this episode.
Because we can tell stories of like creepy kids laughing. Like we can find stories where there is creepy laughter. I'm sure we have plenty.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
A cacophony of creepy laughs.
So I did not go with dreams.
That's okay. It wasn't intended to be a themed thing
and this
until we got there.
I'm going to tell you the subject line, but I will caveat with this is actually a kind of good story. So This is from our listener, Rachel, and the subject line is, "My husband got possessed at his grandmother's viewing." Hello, spooky gals. I know, I like how you're like, how could this be good?
Like, did grandma possess him? I don't know. Well, we're about to find out.
Hello, spooky gals. I adore your podcast and feel like you're my soul sisters. I'm an only child, and I've been listening for about a month now. This was back in December. So this happened in 2014 when my husband's grandma passed, and we were having her viewing the night before her funeral. A little bit of a backstory. Grandma Myrna had 3 kids: our Aunt Susan, Uncle Don, and my sweet mother-in-law, Sheila. Don had been cut out of Grandma's will a long time ago because he was stealing money from her and in general was a pretty bad person. So it was around 9 p.m. and people were thinning out, and we had stepped out for my husband to have a cigarette. And all of a sudden we heard a commotion inside the building. So we run in, and Uncle Don and his wife are screaming at his sisters and at Grandma's body. The wife says that when she found out that Grandma had passed away, she sang, "Ding dong, the witch is dead." Because Grandma was mean to her Donnie. This woman is a bitch and has always been nasty to Grandma Myrna.
Oh.
So, it's awful. So while they're screaming at the family, my husband stands up and I look over to him and his eyes were completely different, like a different color. His face was not his, and he kind of puffed his chest and yelled at the uncle and aunt in this bellowing, inhuman voice, saying, "Get the fuck out of here." Over and over again, until my husband, his brother, and cousin made a human line and basically pushed Don and his wife out of the room. When they finally left, my husband collapsed into his brother's arms and has zero recollection of what had just happened.
Oh my God.
We talk about it time and time again, and we're sure that it was possibly his grandfather protecting us. But honestly, who knows?
I kind of had that thought too.
Yeah. Because
someone else coming in to defend the honor of grandma. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another little story from August of 2020. My family went camping in the Wasatch, I think that's how you say it, mountains near Huntsville, Utah. And we had a fantastic spot near a creek. My son is obsessed with Bigfoot. And the second morning we were there, he starts yelling for my husband and I to come look at something he found. He found clumps of fur, red, brown, black, and a turkey feather. So apparently Bigfoot was hungry and sheds a lot. I have so many stories, and we'll be sending more in soon. Sending lots of spooky love, and see you on the other side, Rachel.
I love that there are little Bigfoot hunters out there. Right? That's so cute.
The next generation of Bigfoot hunters and lovers.
The next generation. Wow. I mean, okay. Well, this story, I understand, because I've had relatives too where like not everybody gets along, and there are some people who probably would have other relatives yell out, "Ding dong, the witch is dead," if they died, you know?
Yeah.
But it's so tough and like inappropriate to have that type of energy at a funeral and at a service. And so I understand that like some sort of protective spirit did come through and channel through him to basically defend grandma and to be like, no, like what the F is happening? Like this is a family event. Like put some respect on her name. Get the F out of here. You're not welcome here.
And the fact that they were yelling at the grandma's body, like, oh, how vile and ill-spirited do you have to be to go?
Yeah, it's very gross.
Yell at your mother who's passed away.
If you're acting so inappropriately that a spirit has to possess someone's body to reprimand you, you were in the wrong. You were in the wrong.
I also think it's like, I'm imagining this like beautiful little scene happening on the other side between Grandma Myrna and the grandfather, her husband. Like he's finally so thrilled to have her join him on the other side. I don't know how long it had been where they were not together, but he's blessed and happy to have her. They're reunited again, and they're watching their family gather at this viewing. And all of a sudden, Don and his wife walk in, and Grandpa's like, "I got this," and comes down to fight for her honor.
Because how upsetting she must have been too. Upset she must have been in that situation too, like watching from beyond, you know, like something about to happen, something happening that's rude and mean-spirited. I don't want little grandmas to cry in the sky. No.
Wait, I don't know why, but that makes me think of a children's book, like Grandma's Crying in the Sky.
So you do everything to make sure that you live your life in a way that grandma won't cry in the sky.
Yeah.
Depends on your grandma. You know, just thinking. Maybe not the best words to live by for everybody. You know, we learn a lot generation by generation. People adapt.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah.
Okay. I have a story that is called "What the Fluff Does This Mean?"
Oh, speaking of, did you ever have Fluff growing up?
Yes, I did. And in fact, I live only a mile away from where Fluff was founded. And they have a Fluff festival every year in Somerville,
Stop.
Massachusetts.
I want to go. What does it entail?
There's a lot of different vendors who come and they incorporate fluff as an ingredient in their dishes. So like if you were to go get empanadas, you might get like a chocolate and fluff empanada, or like a fluff filled cupcake at the cupcake spot, or, you know, stuff like that.
My
Like they just
gosh.
incorporate it in a few of their dishes. And
Fluff.
there's usually like decor and
So
bubbles
cool.
and fluffernutter sort of
My
fluffy
mouth is
things.
watering. I
Mhm.
loved when I opened my lunchbox and I had a fluff and peanut butter sandwich waiting for me. It was a
Mm.
good day when that happened.
A good day, a special day.
Very.
Yes. Fluff, let's not forget, it's pretty sticky. And so when you put it with peanut butter, although delicious, like that was like a choking hazard, I feel like. I could never open my mouth. It was glued together.
I don't know why, but I really now want to do a Patreon like special where you and I take a bite of a fluffernutter sandwich and then try to talk.
Mukbang. That's going to be our mukbang episode. Okay. Hey there, ghostesses. I am a new listener. After listening to the collab with the Morbid Girls, heyo,
Woo!
shout out Elena and Ash, I decided to give your podcast a shot. My name is Liliana, and my story is about dreams that I have no idea what they mean, why I had them, so a little backstory now. Once upon a time, a girl was dumb, young, and in love, and hoping to marry her high school sweetheart.
Oh.
She ended up leaving that annoying bad boy Liam and thought that she was done with him. They may have had a connection, but probably not meant to be in this reality. We had been living lives for a few years now. He had stayed on this path of cheating and lying to every girl that he'd met, and I found real love, a passion for teaching, and I was ready to start a family. I remember it was close to being Easter when finding out from an old friend from high school that Liam had unexpectedly passed away.
Oh,
I
no.
honestly believe it was more like vehicular manslaughter. My husband had told
sad.
me, so sad. My husband had told me the whole story of what had happened to Liam, and he never liked the guy or was close to him, but he was close with his mom, who he worked with. My best friend and I were talking about how many people had expected more of a reaction from me after hearing about his death because of how strong of a connection that he and I had had. Fast forward 2 years, I had a vivid dream about Liam. In this dream, we were at a party. It was a pretty chill party. It was like being at Coachella, but smaller. I feel like that's not a chill party. That's like a wild
No.
party.
Yeah.
But it was like we were back in high school, which felt weird, but so real. We were in this big tent with a big area with rugs all over the floor and pillows and lots of alcohol. Not sure what was going on, but I'm here with my hubby and we've been enjoying our time. I was tipsy in the dream, but at some point I see Liam staring back at me and he's smiling. He's sitting with a few friends in the distance, sitting on a big beanbag chair, his belly down with his fingers crossed together, and his head was sitting up on top of his hands. We had locked eyes for what felt like forever. I had told my hubby that I'd be right back, and I walked over to Liam, and I remember starting to say, "I'm sorry," but he cut me off and said, "Don't be sorry. I am, and I'm so proud of you. You are happy
Aw.
and you are in love."
Oh my
With
gosh.
a big smile, he had this smile that was just so contagious, and it would make anyone smile too. So I smiled back at him and I said, "I am." Then I asked
Aw.
him what he was doing. Smiling at me still, he looks at my husband and points, saying something, but I could never really hear what he said, and then I woke up. This dream felt like hours, and I'm still groggy. I had teared up, my heart felt warm, and it sort of felt peaceful, and around this time I had been diagnosed with postpartum depression and anxiety. I had been between medications and different birth controls. I was in a really bad place, a dark place, and I'm tearing up recalling all of this because I survived those terrible thoughts with the support of my husband and with my few family members who knew I was able to really get to a better place in my life. I have many more dreams that I can send in, and I also have a couple spooky stories of my bestie, who's my sister from another mister. Thank you for your time reading. I appreciate your time. You are amazing, ladies. Best, your scaredy cat fan.
I'm so curious if Liam at the same time was visiting Liliana's husband. Like Liam pointed at him. So I wonder if there was like a message that Liam was giving her husband.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all, yeah. Right. And I have so many thoughts. I have so many thoughts right now. But I also feel like it's a really hard thing when you have such a strong connection with someone. And I feel like the energy that you have for someone doesn't go away. It just changes, right? So like if you were super in love and then you have this horrible breakup, it could change to hatred, or it could change to friendship, or it could change to something like, but it molds. And so I understand from Liliana just kind of always feeling weird about Liam's place in life because they had such a strong sweetheart connection. Her heart was obviously broken. She cared a lot for him, but she moved on. She matured. And it takes time for people. Not everyone's on the same path. Not everyone's going through something different, and you never know what people are going through. And so from her perspective, Liam was still kind of in this party boy stage, having a lot of girlfriends, kind of prioritizing only himself. And I imagine that was pretty hard for her to like recognize that those were her thoughts and her views with him, especially someone she cared about that now died. And that probably was a confusing thing. And the reason why people were like, why didn't she have more of a strong reaction when he did die?
Right.
But how special is it for him in spirit form now to come to her when she's having a really hard time too? Like now she's in the place that Liam probably was in like a mindset perspective, and saying essentially like, look at you. You've done such a good job. Like you are living the life that everyone hopes to eventually get to. Like you are loved, you are at peace, you have support surrounding you.
Right. You know what it reminds me of a little bit is there was one time where I was dreaming like a regular dream and everything paused, and our friend Olivia, who had passed away, kind of like walked in and was like, oh, hey, like I just am stopping by. And it was almost like, I saw you were in the dream plane. She didn't say that, but like that's kind of how I interpreted it.
Yeah.
And she was like, just wanted to say hi, like send love to everyone. And then she like went on her merry way, because it kind of makes me think like the way that Liliana was explaining the dream, like it was this like party sequence. And then all of a sudden she looked and there he was. Like he wasn't the initial part of the dream. And then he popped in, was like, hey.
And I love that he was just kind of like laying down on his stomach, hands in his head, just from afar, just
head
like
in his hands.
He popped into that dream sequence just to see everyone and just to like really watch her and enjoy seeing her happy in this social setting back in high school that reminded him, I'm sure, of the time that they had spent together, and put her in a place where she would probably be more receptive to speaking to him as well.
Yeah. Wow.
Man.
That's
visits from
very
loved
beautiful.
ones and visits in the dream. It is very beautiful.
Very
and
nice.
I feel like that's really lovely closure too, to know that your high school sweetheart, although you guys didn't work out, but you have a lot of love and a lot of
you learn a lot from people.
feelings for each other.
Yeah.
That they're
Doesn't
happy
mean you're meant to
where
be.
you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for joining us for this Encounters episode. We love hearing all of your stories.
And thank you to our editing team over at Upfire Digital. Thank you for editing our audio and our video and our TikToks. Thank you.
And we will
see you on the other side.